What are you, blind? Are you deaf? What is wrong with you? Are you mentally ill? You need help. You seriously need help. Nut job? Psycho? How can you be so stupid?
Welcome to an all-new Lay It Omni. Allow me to lay it on you. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Hope you're having a good one. Today guys, we're going to be talking about an article that was released on Kotaku. So basically the title of the article is Twitch removes blind playthrough tag after disability criticism. Now guys, I'm not going to lie, the title definitely kind of threw me in for a loop. Like, I've been playing games for a long time, okay? And I used to watch all the Let's Plays by Chaka Conroy and all of those big guys. And yeah, I know that the idea of a blind playthrough simply means you're going into a game blind, which means this is your first time playing it. It's basically a very common term that has been used like since forever ago. But apparently it's getting removed. Essentially, there were concerns about ableist language, which is harmful language that affects disabled body persons. The Twitch community and creator marketing director wrote this on Twitter. Happy to see Twitch has listened to everyone who shared feedback and removed the blind playthrough tag to encourage more inclusive language for our community. You can still use first playthrough or opt to use it in combination with no spoilers for the same sentiment, purple heart. Now guys, personally, I don't really care if the language has been changed or not. Like, I'm not mad or enraged by this change in the least bit. It doesn't really affect me, and I guess if it makes a group of people feel a little bit better, that's great. But like, to be honest, I can't help but to think that these tweaks on languages are becoming a bit weird, you know? From what I can understand, ableism has to do with like using words and saying them in a way that's negative, but it also implicates a group of people. The most common word of that would be like the R word, you know, the one that ends in D. That I can understand. Similar to how people used to use the word gay to refer to things that were lame. All of that makes sense, and I'm 100% on board with people adapting better languages for those terms, so you know, that they aren't used in such a negative way. Like, I get that, but I don't understand the concept of removing the word blind and blind playthroughs, or shunning the phrase, you know, things like going in blind or he blindsided me, because to me there is no negative connotation behind the term. In fact, I think the term just has a lot of different definitions. Anyway, continuing with the article, without me even knowing, it looks like they've already addressed the concept of the word gay being replaced. Apparently someone said blind playthroughs or going in blind can easily be replaced by saying no spoilers playthrough or undiscovered or first, if it is your first. A blind playthrough would be to turn your monitor off, and that's not what most mean, said Spone. Just as we used to say gay when something was bad, using disability terms as an alternate word for a negative situation or feeling is common in today's language. But just as we stop saying gay to mean bad, we can stop saying these words too. Think about the words you choose. So yeah, I don't think this analogy works, just as I explained before. Like I said, people use the word gay in a negative way, so I can understand that. But nobody is using the word blind to describe anything negative. In fact, it's probably more positive. Like, I feel like most people enjoy the concept of a blind playthrough because people like to see gamers play a game for the first time without any prior knowledge of it. So I don't quite get the correlation here. I don't quite think it works. But I don't know. Guys, if you're watching this, feel free to chime in and tell me, but I don't quite understand why this is a problem. I even did some research on my own and stumbled upon this video of a woman explaining the concept of ableism so that I could try to educate myself.
Hello. It's Let's Talk Tuesday, so let's talk about casually ableist language. Ableism, specifically casual ableism, is widely accepted in our society, particularly when it comes to our language. No wonder most people don't care about access or equality when it comes to people with disabilities, if our everyday language perpetuates the idea that they are lesser.
I'm not sure if I follow this line of reasoning. When I think of a disabled person, I don't think they're lesser. It simply means they kind of just need help doing things that a non-disabled person can do just fine on their own. Creating accessible ramps for people in wheelchairs is a good example. I also don't think that our language and how we use it is minimalizing how much people care for disabled people, but maybe that's just me.
Ableism is constantly used to insult others or describe something as negative. And oftentimes, people don't even realize where these words are coming from, what these words mean.
So I agree with this. There are a lot of terms that are used to insult people, as I said before. I do think that the people who use the word, you know, gay to describe something lame probably know what the word gay actually means. Same goes for the R word. It also makes me think, is it okay to use these words if it's in a positive light? And what would that even look like? Like, if we start describing wearing nice clothes as that's so gay, is it acceptable? I know a lot of people use the word crazy for something positive, like saying someone is crazy good at a video game, or saying that someone is insane or crazy usually has a positive spin to it. So is that acceptable? I'm kind of getting lost.
Another common thing is how people literally use disability in order to insult or condescend to someone. What are you, blind? Are you deaf? What is wrong with you? Are you mentally ill? You need help. You seriously need help. Nut job? Psycho? How can you be so stupid?
So yeah, I think I agree with some of these terms here, but if you can't say the word stupid to say that someone is stupid, then to me that's stupid. Anyway, I watched the rest of this girl's video and I think she makes a lot of valid points. I do think there are issues with our language at times, and I do think there are ways we can rephrase or restructure certain words so that we're not like shitting on other people. But also, I do feel like these kind of changes are being taken to an extreme, past the point where it's basically losing its meaning. Kind of makes me think about the concept of comedy. A lot of times comedy is used to make fun of people or kinds of people or things or events. And in most of these contexts, these words are used in a way to basically make a joke. The intent is never to make the people on the butt end of the joke lesser than. It's simply to just make people laugh and poke fun, not to take away from them or their disabilities. All in all, it feels like people are trying to change up the entire dictionary or what people can or can't say based on literal definitions. It also feels as if people are trying to prevent others from using words that have evolved into its own definition simply because it stems from another word, if that makes sense. The more I think about our language and how it's used, I feel as if our language would be completely revamped in a way where we basically are trying to offend the least amount of people as possible, which feels a bit weird, you know? Like, even when I say the word weird, I'm wondering, hey, did I just offend someone because potentially the word weird is actually describing a certain type of disabled person? And to me, sitting here thinking about this, if I was a weird person, if weird was a disabled type of person, I don't think I would be offended by someone using the word weird because it has different definitions. At the end of the day, to me, it feels like a person's intentions are not being thrown into the equation. I do think intent matters. It feels as if the word itself and its literal Webster dictionary is given more power than the intent of the word. Also, the same word can have many different definitions. So to me, it seems kind of strange to disable the usage of a word simply because one of those definitions describes a certain group of people. Anyway, here's what a few people had to say about the issue on Twitter and in the comments section of the Kotaku article. I used to volunteer with blind and deaf kids through my dad's organization. All of them did nothing but crack jokes about it, including the one time I asked one of them to read the Braille and ruby sealed chamber on the MyGBA screen. He just called me an idiot and laughed. This guy tweeted, "Mute button is sitting here, not me next." People are way too sensitive these days. I'm okay with the replacement being first playthrough, makes sense, sure. However, claiming that anyone new wouldn't understand blind playthrough is just ludicrous. Wrapping yourself around a straw man argument doesn't make it any more solid. PC culture at its worst. Should hunters change the name of their hideouts too? Stop being so sensitive about everything. There are 15 definitions of the word blind here. Quit pretending like yours is the only and or most important one. Guy said, I disagree strongly with Mr. Spone on his analogy with homophobic slurs. I have never seen the term blind playthrough used in a negative connotation or intended to slander members of the disabled community. I can empathize with the resistance to the casual and arguably flippant use of the term that he feels should be reserved for a disabled class, but I wish that he would recognize that his comparison may not be viewed favorably by those of us with friends and family who are members of the LGBT community. This person tweeted, lots of entitled ableists around here, huh? What does it matter to you? It's literally one word you've misappropriated because you thought it sounded cool or funny, and it turns out the people for whom that word is more important in their lives decided they are not okay with it and are asking you to stop. Either you listen to them, improve your behavior and move on, or you admit to yourself that you are an effing egotistical moron. It ain't up for debate, mate. In which someone replied, nobody has misappropriated the word. It has been used in various ways since the 1500s. People were robbing each other blind in the 1800s, not to mention Homer's Odyssey. I have a hard time believing that anyone in this visually impaired community gave the first thought to this topic. Sounds like some self-important wanker trying to impose their fascism on the public at large. So guys, in summary, I don't think it's really necessary to change the blind playthrough tag. I do feel as if people are trying to overly censor and protect people, and some of the changes are contradictory in nature, and to me don't really serve its true purpose. And to be frank, I do think the Western culture is becoming really soft. People are getting offended and hurt and triggered by anything and everything regardless of intent or someone's true nature. I believe that's why there's such a huge increase of people being canceled for the smallest reasons, and I think it's kind of annoying that society would have to eventually evolve to a point where everyone's feelings need to be protected at such an extreme level. I'm not a huge fan of restrictive speech, and to me these kind of things can easily snowball into further restrictions where we create an entire dictionary of no-no words that people are not allowed to use without their brand or corporation being canceled. I don't think people should need to fear the concept of being misinterpreted or canceled when their intentions are very clear. Anyway, that's all I have for this episode. Laid Omni, you've just been laid. Moral of the story, people are becoming more sensitive. While I think it's good to try to harm the least amount of people as possible, I don't think we should also oppress people from wanting to be offensive at the same time. I mean, imagine living in a society where you're just not allowed to offend someone. That's kind of whack, because anyone can find anything offensive, you know? It's a strange conversation, but like I said, I'm leaning towards people just being pretty overly sensitive in nature. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this situation. situation in the comments below. Do you think people are being overly sensitive, or do you think people are being overly offensive? Do you think there needs to be a change in our speech, and do you think that Twitter made the right decision, or do you not really care? Let me know in the comments below. That's all I have for today's video. If you guys made it to the end of the video, if you leave a like, that would mean the world to me. And subscribe if you guys haven't already, okay? I'll see you guys on the next episode. You guys have a great weekend and have an awesome day.